and in the panel. I'd like to first start by saying that anything I say is limited by my conditionality. And that comes with every privilege that I have, which is gender, caste, economic class. And therefore, I'm saying that right off because I think this is something that I, as a person, is going to learn all through my life and hopefully keep correcting the subconscious, the unconscious, and the conscious thoughts and actions that are limiting my perception and receptibility of life and people. I guess we're all here to counter, to fight, to raise a voice and resist what is a huge juggernaut of violence and oppression that we see across the world from the Hindutva forces. They're philosophical, they're physical, they're emotional and psychological. Pretty much no aspect of our life is left alone by the forces that are dominating our mindscape and also our imagination of society. And I think that's where the greatest damage is being done, is our ability to imagine is being limited and narrowed as only a response system to what is being delivered in megaphones and in monstrous tanks and multi-missiles that they threw out. I'd just like to place three positions before the panel begins the discussion. I think most people in the panel and people who spoke in the last 2 days are probably better equipped than I am. But I, as a person living in India, I just want to present three windows of perception that are not tight and closed in boxes. They are, of course, open to inter-movement, but they would broadly define the way these two words are perceived within the Indian community. And when I say the Indian community, it's a very dangerous term because there is no way to define it. But when I say that, I'm talking about not the people who use violence or who are the propagators of what we are resisting, but as people who are responding or reacting or conforming to various one of these modes. The first one is Hinduism and Hindutva are the same. This is propagated. I'm talking about the position that's propagated from the very right-wing position. And we know what they say. It's an assertion of suppressed feeling. It's a political identity of what has not been allowed to flower and flourish and make a point in the political and social landscape of democratic India. I am not concerned about, at this point, I'm not concerned about the people who are propagating this or who are shoving it down people's throats. But I want to talk about the ones who believe it. The ones who we could call conservatives, let's call them that for convenience, who actually believe there is truth in it. And I think those are the people that I want to think about. Why is it they believe it? I guess we're all here for this conference also to have these complicated conversations and not shut any one of these conversations out. So why does a conservative feel that Hindutva and Hinduism is the same? What is it that the progressive world, the progressive voices of India have missed, have not spoken about, have not addressed, have not faced, that for the last 60, 70 years of our democratic life, that makes people feel they're vulnerable enough to fall for this trap. They feel a lacking. Now, you and I can disagree about it. We can intellectually find reasons for it, but the feeling is real. So my question is, what are we going to do with that feeling? That's the question that bothers me, is when somebody feels something deeply, how does one speak to that person? What is the language? Do we need a new language to speak about? What is the progressive left thought process on faith? Where does faith remain in all this? And we are not only talking about Savarnas here. We are talking about a huge landscape of people. I have a very good friend, Palerana, who's a fisher, and he deeply believes in God. And he often tells us You can talk about all the fact that you don't believe in God. Come with me in the catamaran during a storm, sit in the sea on the catamaran, and then tell me you have no faith. Now, I'm saying this not because I believe him or don't believe him, but I'm saying this because that's the deep-seated feeling. Now, if that feeling is manipulated and a contrivance is created out of it, which then becomes a violent outpouring, where is the conversation going to be with the people who have the faith and are being told that violence is only way to protect that faith? What is the conversation that the progressive world is going to create with these people? That's one position. The other position is Hinduism and Hindutva are entirely different. Hindutva is this violent political tool. I'm not going to who started the word, who wrote the book about it. I don't care a damn about it, honestly, at this point in time. I care about people who are here today. Now, this is also a very convenient position. This nostalgia of my Hinduism of 60 years ago when we were all hugging and kissing, that's a lie, come on. Let's also be honest there. There was never a hugging, kissing Hinduism. Hinduism, as anything else, is a partnership between compassion and violence. Every religion is a partnership of compassion and violence. And that's something we have to confront today, not from the past. So the question is, what about that gut feeling? Especially as a Savarna, I'll be the first to admit that there is this gut feeling that somehow in my childhood it was more precious. Was it really that precious? Is it true? We have to problematize that feeling because how much reality is there in that feeling? And how much of Hindutva hinges upon Brahminical practices? How much of Hindutva hinges upon Hindu practices? So they're not just ritualistic, they're social, they're psychological, they're philosophical. How is one going to de-entangle or find a way to have that conversation within ourselves if you believe that Hinduism and Hindu are different and create a conversation with this mess, not entrenched in the past, but entrenched in today's reality present? This is the second scenario. The third scenario is also a scenario that says, not a scenario, it's a set of people who would say also that Hinduism and Hindutva are the same. But they're coming from a different position. That this entire conversation we are having is Savarnas trying to save Hinduism. This whole thing is just a bogus party. That you're having this conversation, you're fighting Hindutva, but actually what you're doing is you're just trying to find a way to save Hinduism. Now, is this an attempt of the Savarnas to save Hinduism? That's an important question. I am not willing to negate that question at all. Because the fact of the matter is this. How much objectivity or rationality or understanding or reading or self-discovery, etc., happens with every individual, there is still that streak of something being very close to your heart that everybody struggles with. So is that kicking in a bit too much here? Are we in a way just camouflaging it because we're trying to save something? It's a question to ask. So is the difference just cosmetic? Is it just a cosmetic difference? Is that just a shroud to cover the grotesqueness that is already there in Hinduism? So then if you say no, if we agree with this position, if we say no, Hindutva and Hinduism are not the same, then the question is, what does Hinduism mean to a person who has never received love, care, equal treatment or respect from Hinduism? Not from Hindutva, mind you, from Hinduism. They have not had equal dignity, respect, the love and the embrace to worship in any manner they may think as right. What is that conversation you're going to have there? But then does this all mean that the only way we can deal with this, that you negate faith again from a different position? That you negate faith and say there is only an atheistic possibility, that the religion has to be collapsed, has to be destroyed in some manner for us to ever be able to confront the violence of Hindutva, or for that matter, bigotry in any other religion, is the only way out then to destroy the religion or to collapse the religion. I just see that the conversations, more or less, are in these three baskets, overlapping one another in certain streams. And I just did the job of uttering them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.